This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Everybody, it is the After Party Live. We made it to Friday. Cheers to us. Yay. The weekend is straight ahead, and here we are, our last gathering of the week, and it's going to be a good one. Teacher Lori sent me this amazing story about wildflowers in Death Valley, the SuperBloom. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Also, lots of animal stories today, and of course, at the movies with Tim Sika. Ready to roll. Any minute, Tim should be here to talk movies. So the classic movie rec of the week is a really good one. So if you're waiting to hear what Tim has selected for this week's offering, I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised, I would hope. I do want to thank everyone for popping through. I love the multicolored rainbow hearts that Yvonne has sent. Hello to you, Nullifidian. Nice to see you. Looks like a lot of people in the chat hanging out. Yvonne says, I think we should send a classic movie for Tim and Kim. Yeah, hey, we'll take any recommendations that you've got. Absolutely. I do want to thank the folks that contribute to the show. Again, Teacher Lori sending me stories today. Some great emails from a bunch of you over the last few days. Just really appreciate that very much. And then, of course, the financial contributions people make to keep this show going. That is appreciated as well. And I'll start off by giving a large, hearty, heartfelt thank you to Wes, who once again jumps in today with another $5. Also, Mary Zane B set up a recurring PayPal payment, and that one came in as well. Greetings to you, Tammy. Hello, hello. Also, Barbara H contributing to the show with the recurring PayPal payment. Wes from yesterday, Ms. Organic as well. Thank you guys so much for your contributions to the After Party Live. It keeps this show going, and this show is on because of you guys. This is why. I can't believe how long this has been going on, and that you're still here supporting the effort. And I love the community that has formed here, and I just want to say that I'm very grateful for all the support in whichever ways that it comes from you to keep this show going. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, it is time. I am super excited. It is another fun Friday thing we do at the movies with Tim Sika. Hello, Tim Sika. What's up, my friend?
Hi, Kim. I didn't expect for you to be here right at this time.
It's amazing what happens when we're on time. I know.
Yeah, no, I'm just teasing you. Yeah. No, yes, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good as well. Thank you. Excited for it to be Friday.
Yeah, I love Fridays, definitely.
I have a full weekend of musical theater ahead, because Jacob has decided he wants to be part of the crew for the school play production of James and the Giant Peach. So I'm seeing that over and over again this weekend.
Yeah, well, that sounds like fun. And those are the kinds of things you do when you have kids. Yes,
exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
But you have a lot of movies that you've been watching. And speaking of having kids, this movie, it's interesting because I wanted to share this with you. This movie called Hoppers apparently is bringing in big bucks already. I don't know if you saw this, but the millions and millions that it brought in just from the Thursday previews is actually
really
pretty amazing. Yeah, here's the box office latest. Pixar's Hoppers made $3.2 million from Thursday previews last night. The Bride made $1 million, but Hoppers is projected to make between $35 and $40 million in its first weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's Pixar, they've got, I don't know, they have the magic touch. And this movie is, it's another home run for them. It's a wonderful movie. And, it's funny, the title Hoppers, it took me about halfway through the film to grasp the significance of the title. But when I did, the moment turned into one of those, smiting my own forehead realizations. But a hopper, I thought it referred to one of the animals until I realized that a hopper is the technology that's used by scientists to quote unquote hop or transfer human consciousness into lifelike robotic animals.
Oh, okay.
Now, who would even think of something like that, right? But anyway, so with that in mind, the plot of Hoppers, it follows this young girl named Mabel who loves nature. She loves animals, both of which were instilled in her from her grandmother, who subsequently passes away. But anyway, she winds up using this hopper technology to inhabit a robotic beaver. That's her there in the poster, to communicate with other animals who live in this natural habitat, which is under threat by the town's greedy mayor, who wants to turn this nature glade into a freeway. Boo hiss, right? Yeah. Okay, so it's a reasonably complicated plot. I'm leaving a lot out, but typically, almost Pixar guaranteed. The intricate plot, it's very whip smart, but it's also very easy to follow. And nobody can do that like Pixar. And typical of Pixar, the characters in this movie are just delightful and beautifully realized, and they include a beaver monarch, a caterpillar, a grumpy bear, a lizard, a goose, a frog, a fish, a shark assassin. Meryl Streep voices this insect queen. And all of the characters which inhabit this story boast very distinct and irresistible personalities in that Pixar way. This is a funny movie. It's a timely movie, dealing as it does with nature, the threat to nature, animals, corrupt politicians, the impact of technology, blah, blah, blah. And it's also very, very entertaining. One that's deeply emblematic of the magic that is Pixar, a beloved company that is really, they've cracked some kind of code that is uniquely their own. When you said, the movie is doing exceptionally well, I mean, they've got this Midas touch, and I honestly don't know how they keep on doing what they're doing. They've had a few missteps here and there over the years, but for the most part, the hits just keep on coming, and Hoppers is definitely one of their better movies.
I'm fascinated by that you say that there's a monarch butterfly character, and did they put a face on a butterfly? How does it work?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the easiest movie to describe. I did my best, but
okay.
The animals are pretty much animal-like. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Okay.
That's all I can say. Anyway, it's one of their top movies. I mean, they've done it again. And when I sat through this for the first time, I thought, oh God, it's probably going to make another fortune for the company.
Yeah.
They know instinctively what to do and how to do it and how to reach large audiences without condescending to them. That nobody, even Pixar's misses, nobody would ever say are like stupid. I mean, the intelligence behind the characters and the scripts and the execution of same, it's just, it's Pixar. They know how to do it. And I really, really like this movie. I was expecting not to, because I'm thinking they can't be creating another classic, but they have. This is a really good movie.
That's awesome. It's one of my favorite things happens when you and Michael Snyder disagree. He did not like this movie.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, he said it was not great.
Well, you know what? I will have to take that up personally with Michael Snyder. I can, I can behind the scenes, and Michael knows what I'm talking about.
But I like to, I'm gonna have to go see this movie anyway. So it's good that you're saying that it's worth seeing, and of course, you're right about Pixar's magic. Absolutely. So
yeah. Interesting. He didn't like it. Wow.
He didn't like it. And he's a fan of animated movies too. So
I know. Yeah. So
the next movie you've got is called The Bride.
Yeah, The Bride! ! Super appropriate given the totally unhinged nature of this insane movie. So The Bride, written and directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, the actor. What could have possessed her? I don't know. Anyway, this is a revisionist take on the 1935 Universal sequel to Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein. And okay, so I'm going to do this. Wait, I have it here. I'm going to read the Wikipedia synopsis because I had no idea how to describe the plot of this movie. And I quote, in 1930s Chicago, Frankenstein's monster, commonly referred to as Frankenstein, called Frank in this movie and played by Christian Bale, asks Dr. Euphronius, played by Annette Bening, of all people, God, they must have paid her a fortune or something, to create a companion for him. So together, they give life to a murdered woman known as, quote unquote, the bride, played by Jessie Buckley, sparking romance, police interest, and radical social change, end quote. Okay. What else can I say about this? I read somewhere that Gyllenhaal cut some violent sequence. This is a violent movie. Cut some violent sequences from the movie, including those of sexual violence in response to these negative test screenings that they had for the film. One particular moment cut involved Frankenstein licking the black vomit off the bride's neck.
Ew, gross.
Right. Can't wait for the Blu-ray extras on that. Anyway, this movie is so off the wall, absolutely nuts, visually sumptuous, 100% unapologetic, audacious as hell. As you watch this bonkers movie, you're going, what the hell was Maggie Gyllenhaal thinking? I mean, she wrote the script too. So I alternately found this movie awesome and awful. It's a tonal and chaotic assault, but to be fair, it's a truly singular vision that probably got greenlit because on paper it looked like it would either be insanely great or galactically stupid. And I think it's both. So I'm recommending The Bride because it takes some very big swings artistically. Maybe only about half of them actually land. You know, I can also see, as I listen to the sound of my own voice, where watchers and listeners of the After Party Live, after hearing my recommendation, then going to see this movie, might walk away asking themselves, has Tim Sika lost his mind? So I'm ready for the assault, but especially for lovers of what I would call rogue monster movies, this is a must-see. I mean, I read somewhere, some critic wrote that this was more of a film to feel than to explain. And so I'll leave everybody with that. I mean, it was a crazy movie. I'm watching it and I'm going, what the hell? Who possessed these people to make this movie in this way? But then something would kick in and I'd get re-engaged and I'd go, oh, okay, well, this is pretty good. So it took a lot of swings, and I admire movies that try to do something different than most Hollywood movies do. And I was also interested in that it was a Maggie Gyllenhaal production. She wrote it, she directed it. And
she seems so sweet, Tim. Where did this come from?
That's you know what? Yeah, you're right. I have no idea. It's a bonkers movie. So if you love bonkers movies and you like monster movies, rogue monster movies, you might want to check it out. I have to recommend it. I don't know if I would ever sit through it again. You know, I'd rather watch, The Pit again over and over. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, The Bride. That's The Bride in a nutshell, in my opinion.
This is an action thriller, kind of a revenge thriller, and it's called The Protector.
Protector. Yeah. Well, if you've seen the trailer, you know all too well what this movie's about. It's an action thriller film about a woman, an ex-soldier, played by badass actress Mila Jovovich, who's in the poster there, who leaves her violent life behind her to be with her teenage daughter, who is kidnapped by some very nasty people, which naturally brings out the lioness in this ex-soldier woman who goes on a violent killing machine quest to reclaim her daughter. And man, is she ever unstoppable. All kinds of violent things happen to this woman, which would instantly kill a normal person. But when your maternal instincts kick in to the degree they kick in here, well, let's just say you want to stay out of this woman's way. Don't mess with my daughter. Anyway, you kind of get the picture. This is all familiar stuff, which we've seen over and over again in other action thriller films. There is the element, though, of sex trafficking in this that makes this film maybe stand out more than it would normally, with the Epstein files and everything. Sure. But the movie is so violent and the kills are so graphic and so protracted that, I just couldn't wait to get out of the theater. And my other beef with movies like this, Kim, is that in the end, this type of movie with its cliched setup, which admittedly one can relate to. I mean, if my daughter were kidnapped and thrown into a sex trafficking ring, my emotional reaction would be to become a vigilante and decimate the people responsible. But my beef with these kinds of movies is that when they ultimately succeed in what they ultimately succeed in doing is to bring out and trigger the audience's lesser instincts and baser impulses. I mean, I know that sounds preachy, but in other words, the violence is so effective, it feels good to watch our heroine dole it out. And I'm not so sure that that kind of response serves anybody, especially in the climate that we're living in now. So I say skip Protector. I think there's much better action thriller films out there that you might want to spend your time on. But
it's interesting. It sounds like maybe a more violent version and a female version of Liam Neeson in Taken.
Do you know there are critics I heard that said just exactly what you said? I've never seen Taken, or if I did, I can't recall.
Really?
It. Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Yeah. Look up some of the Metacritic reviews. I think they say that this is just a female ripoff of Taken. Yeah. So
Daddy comes to protect you. You know, he's not going to let his daughter get taken by these creeps, and so it's Liam Neeson basically setting out to get his daughter, but then also he's going to take revenge. So that's you just described this movie, only it has a female protagonist. And I mean, I like Mia Jovovich. I enjoy her. She's such a badass screen presence, and she's strong and she's purposeful, and I love her as a movie actress. So I mean, there's that. I mean, if you're a Mila Jovovich fan, you might want to, or a Mila Jovovich completist, you might want to check this out. But you know, my job is to critique, so I'm critiquing. So there it is.
There it is.
We have come to it. It is Tim Sika's classic movie rec of the week, and it is From Here to Eternity.
I hope I have. You know, when I was thinking about this movie, I thought there was something familiar about it. Maybe I recommended it at one time. But anyway, forget. So. Okay, good. So this is one of the great all-time Hollywood movies, and it's great on a number of levels. So I'm going to count the ways. Okay, it's from 1953. It won 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Great because the massive James Jones novel upon which it was based was considered in 1953 impossible to put on screen because of its strong sexual content and language, but put it on screen they did. The great director Fred Zinnemann won an Oscar for his direction, as did screenwriter Daniel Taradas for his adaptation of the novel, which everybody said was impossible to do, which outwardly softened a lot of the sex, but skillfully implied on screen most of what made the novel a sensation, in that way that most of the movies about sex in the 50s did so well, because they were kind of restricted in what they could show and what they couldn't. So they had to really work hard to make a scene erotic without showing anything. Anyway, this movie is famously, I was just going to talk about this scene. It's famously known for its steamy scene of Burt Lancaster and Deborah Carr. The latter being married to the major Burt Lancaster is assigned to at an army base at Pearl Harbor, passionately kissing each other on the ocean's shore while being enveloped in its waves. A lot of comedy groups and comics spoofed this scene a lot in their shows and stuff. But looking at that scene today, that's the one. It is astonishing to think it was so controversial at the time. It's definitely sexual, but in terms of sex and violence and how far the screen has come by today's standards, it's just so tamer than tame. Anyway, the movie, everything about From Here to Eternity just works. It still clicks 73 years after its initial 1953 release. It's very entertaining, and it holds up today, less so as the controversial movie it was considered at the time, but simply in terms of its storytelling craft, its Oscar-winning screenplay adaptation, and mostly its performances. Burt Lancaster is the sergeant who has a torrid affair with the company commander's wife. Always great here as usual. Montgomery Clift probably delivers his best screen performance as the embittered Private Robert E. Lee Pruitt. Frank Sinatra as his wisecracking but doomed best pal, famously winning an Oscar for best supporting actor as well. And it was a win which famously reignited Sinatra's career, which until then had been in a major slump. Oh, and the casting of prim and proper Deborah Kerr, English Deborah Kerr, is the sex-starved wife of the brutal and philandering captain that she was married to, and wholesome Donna Reed as a prostitute, just superbly plays out here. The casting against type was just worked incredibly. Reed also won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, and Kerr, of course, was nominated. It was a huge battle in the 1950s to even get this film made because of its content, but also, I mean, once Columbia bought the rights, there was a constant behind the scenes fighting between Columbia boss Harry Cohn and director Fred Zinnemann. There were constant rewrites to the script, but in the end, everyone involved delivered a bona fide classic drama that holds up even 73 years after the fact. It's a great movie, one I can watch at least once a month, one I've seen so many times I've lost count, and I can quote chapter and verse. I could perform it at parties if called upon. Anyway, it's streaming as we speak on Amazon Prime. It's a great movie.
Ricky Aubert says, thank you, Tim. Outstanding pick. Teacher Lori says the symbolic or metaphorical sex scenes are wonderful. Vanessa writes, I can't think of From Here to Eternity without thinking about the parody in Airplane, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. So I think we're all going to have to watch From Here to Eternity, and it is streaming on, I believe you say Prime Video this week.
Yeah, so, Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's on there. It's been on there for a while, and they keep these movies on for as long as they keep them on, and they take them off whenever. But lately they've been letting you know when they're going to go off. So, but this one looks like it's on there for a while, so people have time to see the movie if they have Amazon Prime. Yeah.
From Here to Eternity. All right, we're going to go click back through these really quickly. First, you brought us Hoppers. You say this is emblematic of the magic that is Pixar, and you say Pixar has done it again. You liked Hoppers.
I did, yes. Michael, if you're listening, I'm going to take this up with you.
The Bride. You didn't like this one so much. You said it's insane. It's violent. It's off the wall nuts. You said it's oddly awesome and awful at the same time, that there's a singular vision and that it probably looks good on paper. And you said it takes some big artistic swings, and for that reason you're recommending it, even though all of those swings don't pan out. But you said that if you're into rogue monster movies, it's a must see, but you called The Bride a crazy movie.
Yes, I did.
I keep wanting to put a the in front of it. No, The Protector, you said this movie is really violent and that violence is really graphic. And you say of this revenge thriller with Mila Jovovich, skip it. This is a no-go.
Yeah.
As far as your classic movie rec of the week, From Here to Eternity, and we'll do the beach scene for this.
There we go. Yeah.
You called it one of the best all-time Hollywood movies. You said it won 8 Oscars, including Best Picture. This sex scene on the beach, you said was really controversial at the time, but everything about this movie still works. You said it still clicks, the storytelling, craft, the performances, and you recommend From Here to Eternity from 1953, streaming on Prime Video, as your classic movie recommendation of the week. Yay!
We did it again, Kim McAllister.
Yay. Well, Yay. You did it. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much, Tim Sika. I will see you next week. Have a really good week.
You too, Kim, and looking forward to talking to you again next week.
Awesome.
Have a good weekend.
Bye,
and enjoy James and the Giant Peach tech rehearsals too. Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Hoppers, absolutely.
Yeah, and Hoppers. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. At the Movies with Tim Sika, everybody. And again, always thank you to Tim for coming by the After Party Live. We are going to move to the SuperBloom, the wildflowers, and they are out in Death Valley. Huge thank you to Teacher Lori for sending in this story out of Popular Science. This may be the best SuperBloom since 2016. It has filled Death Valley with wildflowers. This is a colorful blast explosion of flowers, and they think it could last through June as well. This picture was taken on March 3rd. in Death Valley. So just gorgeous super bloom. It is known as the driest place on Earth, but according to the National Park Service, many of the sprouts haven't even flowered yet. So they say the beauty here is really just beginning. You've got the desert gold, one of the most prominent flowers, other flowers blooming as well. The low elevation flowers will likely persist until mid to late March. And then we've got the higher elevation flowers blooming from April through June. So again, this is going to last for a while. They have the locations of where the blooms are at the current time whenever you're traveling at the National Park Service website, so you can make sure that you get there and see them. The super blooms tend to happen once a decade. The most recent super bloom years, 2016, 2005, 1998. And there are some years that have fewer blossoms. The flowers are not, it's not like there's nothing there, but the super bloom, well, that's a once in a decade deal. They say for a super bloom to occur, you have to have three things. You've got to have rainfall during the fall, the winter, and the spring. You've got to have well-spaced temperatures, has to be warm enough, and the wind needs to be just right. So it looks like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like we had a big rainy season, but it seems like everything has come together. Ah, and there are pictures all over social media already. And if you do go to Death Valley to see it, you'll probably have a lot of company. The last super bloom in 2016 brought more than 209,000 people to Death Valley National Park. There were traffic jams. They said there was some damage to the ecosystem. There was a poppy bloom in 2019 near Elsinore in Southern California that attracted hundreds of thousands of people as well. So they want to say this at the National Park Service. Even if it, whether it's the super bloom, whatever it is that's bringing you to this area, that good park behavior is critical to protect the landscape. They have a new California State Parks has a new slogan. They say, "Don't doom the bloom." That's their new campaign. Don't doom the bloom, urging visitors not to pick the flowers, to park only in designated spots, to stay on the designated trails. Don't step on the flowers. I can't believe you have to tell people that. But of course, here, home of the Turons, I guess we know. None of us are going to be the bad people at the park, right? No. Again, thank you to Teacher Lori for that amazing story. Here's one. Look at that face. It's a little raccoon. A raccoon. This burglar has been making daily visits to this woman's Cincinnati apartment, and she's got some great pictures of him. This woman has lived in her apartment for less than a month, but apparently, along with the apartment, came a hole in the roof, and the raccoon is getting in through this hole in the roof and has been popping in for a little visit every day for a week. Alexis said she first started hearing unusual noises in her ceiling on February 20th, and on March 1st, she captured video of this raccoon entering her apartment through a hole in the kitchen cupboard. She said the raccoon has been entering her home every day, often bringing in trash from outside and leaving its bodily waste in the living room. It likes to eat in the kitchen and poop in the living room, She said the animal is apparently getting into the building through a hole in the roof, and she's concerned for her son. She doesn't want this wildlife around her kid who has some medical issues. So that's pretty serious. So they're thinking that they're going to place a trap for this raccoon, maybe help it get set free in some other place. But what a great picture of the raccoon. Now, this is something that you don't see every day. Look at that. This is I hope I say it right, an oryx, 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 an African antelope. It got loose from a zoo. Oryx, Oryx. Yeah. This is an antelope species native to Africa. And apparently it's now running free in a neighborhood in Tennessee. Can you imagine looking up and seeing that thing? I mean, look at those spikes coming off the top of its head. Crazy. One guy said he got pictures of this oryx when it ran into morning traffic near a neighborhood in Nashville. It was right on the side of the road, sticking out of the woods, he said. It was the back end of the animal. At the time, he said, I thought that's a really big goat, but I didn't know what it was. He said, I've never seen anything like it. They've nicknamed this antelope Leonard, and it has been spotted all over this neighborhood in Nashville, in people's yards, in people's farms, on the roads. They say it just seems whenever we have a lot going on in the world, some exotic animal is loose around Nashville. It's a great distraction. It's adorable. They say we're hoping he can get caught so he doesn't hurt or cause anything as far as a car accident or anything like that. So I thought he escaped from the zoo. They say Leonard's origins remain unclear. Some residents think he may have escaped from a local exotic animal farm. There is no law in Tennessee that would prohibit a person from owning or keeping an oryx. That's clearly a mistake. There should be a law against that. You shouldn't be able to have that animal at your house or your farm unless you have some kind of special permit, right? Wherever it came from, wherever it escaped from, this African antelope, this oryx, is still loose in a neighborhood near Nashville, Tennessee. That is crazy. I don't know. I mean, you would think an animal like that would require very specific care and temperatures and whatever else. Just wild. So going to the chat. Yeah, that's not something you see every day. No, it really isn't. Absolutely not. I found this crazy story. What would you think if you saw this? All right. What would you think if you saw these marks? They're kind of paddle-shaped marks up the side of this hill, paddle-shaped marks in the cliffside. There are about 1,000 of them. There are these crescent-shaped marks. And so the mystery is, what made those marks? How did this happen? Kind of paddle-shaped indents in the rock. They were found in 2019 by a group of free climbers going up this slope over the Adriatic Sea in Conero Regional Park in Italy, Ancona, Italy. They said they recalled a news report about similar tracks nearby, so they sent some pictures to a geologist who returned to the site, took a closer look. Here's what they think. Well, before I tell you what the scientists think, I want to hear what you think it is. Lava dried out, says What the Sizzle. It's not Hannibal. Animals, says Yvonne. What do you think it is? Tammy says, I think the iguanas were taking over. Runoff. It was a big runoff, iguana runoff. I don't know. Any other guesses? What you think this might be? I mean, dinosaur footprint, says Donald the Maine Coon. Dinosaurs with what kind of weird long feet? I don't know. Perplexing, right? Okay, here's what scientists are thinking. They say the prints were probably caused by a stampede of panicking sea turtles that were mobilized en masse by an earthquake. They think the tracks were covered by some kind of landslide triggered by the same earthquake. They say it's quite a specific recreation of something that happened so long ago, but researchers can be confident of a few aspects of this story. They tell IFL Science that, for one, they can tell from the samples of the limestone that it was hundreds of meters deep on the seafloor during the Cretaceous period. As many of the remains of marine plankton from that time, they say above is a layer formed from loose sediment indicative of underwater avalanche. And it would also explain why the imprints have been preserved, because they would usually be swiftly erased by the movement of other seafloor organisms or by the sea itself. But as for Whether it's turtles or what exactly made those imprints, that's not so clear. They say that marks are similar to others believed to have been made by marine reptiles with flippers. They ruled out mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, which were solitary animals that weren't likely to travel in groups, uh, large enough to leave that so many tracks like that. And that really left sea turtles, which are known sometimes to gather in large numbers to feed or nest. So these prints are crescent shaped and they come in pairs, consistent with a turtle skimming the seafloor with the tips of its front flippers as it swam. But they say they can't be sure. They don't know for sure. Here's the quote. The number of reports of these kinds of prints in the scientific literature is very few, and the number of specialists who have worked with these animal traces is also very small. This, according to one of the study's authors. The idea that the imprints we observe in the lavella outcrops were created by sea turtles is merely a hypothesis, and none of our group is a specialist in trace fossils, certainly not of marine reptile prints. Part of our motivation for publishing this work, in which we acknowledge we cannot be definitive, was to make a call to arms to the real experts to hopefully encourage further studies of these markings in this area. It's fascinating. A curator at the New Mexico Museum of Natural History in Albuquerque talked to the New York Times about this picture and said that a turtle pushing through sediment would leave raised rims around its tracks, and most of these don't have any raised rims. So as someone who studies trace fossils, he didn't think that data was there to evaluate them in that way. Other people say these probably are not fossilized prints at all. There's a researcher of prehistoric marine ecosystems at the Natural History Museum in London who says, from what I can see in this paper, those features bear no resemblance whatsoever to marine reptile trace fossils, and they're most likely to be geological features. So who knows what those marks are? Who knows? It's a mystery. Once a seabed, maybe wave action. Yeah, maybe. Agent Kitty Feet says water flow, maybe. Looks like you and the experts agree. I like the sea turtle massive running of the sea turtles. Who knows? I just thought it was an interesting mystery to discuss. Oh, look at that. Okay, it's time for oh no, I was going to do a lotto of the day, but let's talk about Labubu. You know, you would think that this whole Labubu fad with these stuffed toys would be dying out by now, but no. Still so popular that now the maker of the Labubu dolls, Pop Mart, is opening a headquarters here in California. They're opening a headquarters in Culver City. It's a 22,000 square foot office. It's Pop Mart's new US headquarters right here in California. They said they have recent growth here in America, North America, and Southern California has stores in the Westfield Century City, the Glendale Galleria, the Westfield Mall in La Jolla. So apparently they need a big distribution center for America. And here it comes. Labubu. This whole Labubu craze was started after one of the members of this K-pop group called Blackpink. Her name is Lisa. Wore a Labubu keychain on her bag in 2024. That's all it took. Then all of a sudden, everybody wanted a Labubu, and they have become so popular and so hot on the counterfeit market as well that there's warnings about purchasing Lafufus, the fake kind. But the Labubu craze shows no sign of slowing down. All right, now it's time for the lotto of the day. And that's another story about these people that are so incredibly lucky time and time again. So this woman has just one-upped her husband. He won a $1 million lottery prize. She's like, hold my beer. She takes in a $5 million lottery prize from a scratch-off lottery ticket. This woman from Ohio said she initially thought the ultimate 5 million scratch-off ticket that she bought from the Kroger store in Circleville was a $20,000 winner. Is she scanned her ticket and it appeared to be a $200,000 winner. But she said when she finished scratching it off at home, she discovered that she had won the top prize of $200,000 a year for 25 years, and that's a $5 million prize. And she said it was really surprising because her husband had won $1 million from a lottery game a few years earlier. She says this money is going to allow her to retire. It will fund also, she said, an overnight stay in the Christmas Story house, a trip to Florida to swim with the manatees, and a return to college. She said she has plans to spoil her dogs and to make investments. She's going to be living large, this lady in Ohio. I'm telling you. Staying in the Christmas Story house, that might be fun. Swimming with manatees. Can you believe it? Your husband wins $1 million, you win $5 million? Just wow. Absolutely wild. Well, that is the show for today. Huge thank you again to everyone who contributes to the After Party Live in all the various ways that you do. You are so appreciated. This show is your show because you're the ones who make it happen. So once again, a huge thank you to Wes, who came through with another contribution to the After Party Live today. Mary Zane B, Barbara H, Wes again, Ms. Organic. Thank you, thank you. A million thank yous. And as always, the PayPal information is in the About tab and in the show description every day. Would appreciate you clicking the like button on the way out. That would be very nice if you could click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the After Party Live, please do. And I always appreciate the comments and after hours trading as well. My thanks to Tim Sika for being here. And my thanks to you for being here and spending your time here with me on the After Party Live. I hope you have a really good weekend. Whatever your plans are, please make it a good one. And I'll see you next time on Monday here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Yay! You're almost there.